All right, let's talk about something real: burnout. Specifically, that feeling when you are just running on empty, but quitting your job isn't an option. If that's you, you're in the right place. We're not going to talk about fantasy solutions. We're going to get into practical, tiny moves that you can actually use in your real life. You hear this kind of thing all the time, right? Picture Steve turning to his friend Jane, just sighing. I'm just done. I used to actually like my job. Now every email feels like a punch in the gut. And Jane just nods because she totally gets it. That feeling of just being completely drained, stuck, and just watching the clock, praying for Friday to come. It's a feeling way too many of us are familiar with. So let's get into why the typical advice you hear about burnout just feels so useless. It's because most of it seems like it was written for someone with a trust fund, not for people with mortgages, student loans, or a boss who thinks work-life balance is a myth. And this is where it gets so frustrating, right? They say, oh, just take some time off. But you're looking at your calendar and you've got like 2 sick days left for the rest of the year. They tell you to set boundaries, but your boss just emails you at 10 p.m. anyway. And my favorite, follow your passion, which is great, except your passion for artisanal pottery doesn't exactly cover the rent. This massive gap between the advice and our reality is why we feel so trapped. But here's the secret. This is the big shift in thinking. Real recovery, the kind that actually works, doesn't require a 6-month sabbatical in Bali. It happens in the cracks, in the small, almost invisible moments that already exist in your day. That's where you find your power again. So to really fix this, we have to get honest about what we're actually up against. Burnout isn't just being tired from a long week. Oh no, it's so much deeper, and it seeps into everything. As I go through this next list, just listen. See if anything in here makes you nod your head. There's no judgment, just recognition. How about emotional numbness, where the things that used to make you happy just don't anymore? Or that bone-deep physical exhaustion that no amount of sleep can fix? What about the cognitive fog, that feeling that your brain is wading through mud just to do a simple task? And the cynicism, that slow, creeping feeling that nothing really matters. It all just makes you want to pull away from everyone, right? Because you feel like you've got nothing left to give. Now, if any of that felt familiar, I really, really need you to hear this next part. This is a completely normal biological response to being under way too much stress for way too long. It is not a character flaw. It is not a sign of weakness. It is not a personal failing. It's just your system sending up a giant red flare saying the load is too damn heavy. Okay, so we know the problem. Now, what in the world do we do about it? The answer isn't some huge dramatic change. No, it's all about tiny moves that make a huge impact. Little strategies you can actually do to carve out some breathing room. Let's start with one you can do literally right after this. It's called the 2-minute breathing reset. Just find a private spot, your car, a bathroom stall, wherever. You're going to breathe in for a count of 4 and then out for a count of 6. That slightly longer exhale is the magic trick. It literally tells your nervous system, hey, we're safe. You can calm down now. 2 minutes. That's it. You can do that. Okay, next up, the transition ceremony. This might feel a little weird at first, but trust me, it's powerful. The second your workday is over, you create a ritual. Maybe you change your shirt, you wash your hands and face, and then, this is the most important part, you say out loud, work is done for today. It's a physical and verbal cue to your brain that it's time to clock out for real. And there are so many more of these. You can try being strategically unavailable. Just block off 30 minutes on your calendar and call it focus time. Nobody needs to know you're just staring out the window. Or instead of checking email every 5 seconds, batch it. Check it 3 times a day. You can even create a buffer between meetings by scheduling them for 25 or 50 minutes, giving you a few minutes to reset. Now, let's talk about the really bad days. The days where it's not about thriving, it's about pure survival. For those moments when you feel like you are right at the breaking point, you need an emergency plan. This is your 15-minute reset. You find a private space and you set a timer on your phone for 15 minutes. For those 15 minutes, your only job is to let yourself feel awful. Be angry, be sad, be overwhelmed. Just let it happen. Don't try to fix it. When that timer goes off, you take one deep breath and you get back to your day. No guilt. You gave the feeling its time. And then there's the nuclear option, the bare minimum day. This is your official permission slip to do the least amount possible. You identify the 1 or 2 things that absolutely have to get done today. Everything else, it can wait. Your standard for everything is good enough. And you leave on time. Period. No exceptions. It's not lazy, it's a survival strategy. Okay, so we've got our emergency kit, but we don't want to live in emergency mode forever. So how do we start building a real, sustainable path to feeling better?
Let's break it down into a 30-day plan. Week 1 is just triage. You pick 1 or 2 of those tiny moves just to stop the bleeding. Week 2, you focus on boundaries. Maybe you try that email batching. By week 3, you're not just playing defense anymore, you're adding something nourishing back in, even if it's just 5 minutes of reading a book. Then, in week 4, you look at what's working and build a simple routine you can actually stick with.
And really, it all boils down to this one simple truth. Forget about having the perfect self-care routine. It doesn't exist. Small, consistent actions that you actually do are infinitely more powerful than some grand, perfect plan that you'd never even start. So I'm going to leave you with a question. Not what you're going to do tomorrow or next week. What's the one tiny, almost ridiculously small thing you can do for yourself today? Maybe it's that 2-minute breathing exercise. Maybe it's just leaving your desk for 5 minutes to walk outside. Whatever it is, that's your starting line. And there you have it. That's how you start to escape burnout with tiny, manageable moves. Hey, if you found this helpful, do me a favor and share it with someone you think might need to hear it. And of course, make sure you click like on this video and subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching.